When you think of marijuana, you always think of it as being the safe drug. But with the government involved, you never can trust anything. How safe are these new marijuana extracts, these oils, shatter, dabs? We don't know the long-term effects on the human brain. So, as a consumer, I wanted to find out. Yes, that is me. Marijuana has been a part of my life for a very long time. I've grown it and used it for years, and I still use it for recovery to this day through my weight loss journey. But what is the marijuana of today doing to us?
One thing people don't understand about cannabis is that when you have a extremely high THC level in these extracts that people are smoking, these vape pens, it actually becomes a neuroinflammatory substance. That means it actually causes your brain to swell. When you're using the flower or just the buds that come off the plants, then you have this perfect blend of the cannabinoids with the THC, just like nature intended, and then you have an anti-inflammatory response. They've showed this in studies where the THC at lower levels combined with the cannabinoids like the CBD and the other things can provide an anti-inflammatory response. But when they isolate the THC into a high enough amount, it actually causes neurological inflammation or brain swelling. And I'd say 80-90% of the people out there that are using cannabis now are using these vape pens. These vape pens are horrible. The reason is because not only do they have that high level of THC, which causes the brain swelling, but they're using synthetic terpenes. What I mean by that is they're actually taking real terpenes in nature and they're mimicking them in a lab, producing these synthetic versions of these terpenes, and then they're putting them and mixing them in with this cannabis extract. And this is a perfect recipe for neurological inflammation and withdrawal and dependence and coming down off the stuff, etc. You know, serotonin syndrome, all the things that come along with these potent extracts that have kind of taken over the market and given cannabis a bad name, truthfully. So cannabis is no longer therapeutic when it's in this extract version that people are inhaling combined with these synthetic terpenes. It's lost its medicinal purpose, and I just want to share that information out there with people because I am not condoning the use of cannabis. This is an addiction recovery page, but wanted to explain the difference between the traditional natural cannabis that has come out in bud and what everybody else is using now, which are these synthetic terpenes combined with these potent extracts to give you this extreme high off the top, but it also inflames your brain, increases histamine, aggravates the immune system, and makes you more dependent to go back for more because you'll be uncomfortable because of all that.
Now, I've always been an advocate for marijuana, but I started thinking, if refined sugar is not healthy for us, why would 90% THC oil be healthy for us? The government got involved. The government does not care about the health and well-being of the American people. What they care about is profits and making money and getting people addicted.
And some people use weed, we know, to help manage anxiety or insomnia. What is your professional take on that use?
Okay, so this is a complicated one because I think a lot of this just depends on how somebody's using it and just the individual person, because different people will respond differently to marijuana. Let's talk about sleep. I mean, there are tons of people out there who are using alcohol to help themselves fall asleep. Definitely not a good idea. It disrupts the quality of your sleep. There are people who will feel like marijuana helps them in that regard. And ultimately, you know, my opinion is obviously it's better to not use either of those things and to find healthier ways to manage some of this stuff. But if you were to ask me which one of those is the better option, I would say marijuana. You know, I have had problems really when it comes to people using marijuana on a daily basis, multiple times a day. This is really where I've seen people run into problems. And the main issue here, I think, is that people will feel like it's helping with their anxiety in many cases, but when they're not using, their anxiety is even higher than it would be at baseline. So most of my chronic marijuana users, when I've tried to get them to lower the amount or stop using it, they ultimately end up feeling like their anxiety levels go down. So you just have to be very careful. It's all about dose.
In my first investigation, we exposed the dangers of candy-like marijuana to young children. Now I'm following up on marijuana that is not like what it used to be. Legal retailers are making power-pack versions of THC oils, gummies, and even sodas that doctors say are highly addictive and causing actual brain damage in teenagers and young adults, like this young man who asked us not to use his name.
I stay anywhere I want to, and Some nights I even don't sleep.
This is life as it has become for this young man, now in his early 20s, after an adolescence clouded by what his parents say was potent marijuana smoke and vape fumes, a dangerous combination nationally known medical experts are calling industrial-strength marijuana.
At one point, it was daytime, nighttime, nonstop.
And we'll never forget the day, it was sort of a mid-December. He came into my office at work, and he was literally a zombie. He looked like a zombie.
It's okay.
Okay, so girl.
Gone are the carefree days of life in San Diego, playing in the surf, a pilot's license at 16, an A student, accepted at a prestigious East Coast university, the firstborn, big brother to two siblings.
Very sort of profound in, his thoughts. Had good friends, played, sports growing up, learned French at home, spoke 2 languages. So just a very bright kid.
He was just a perfect child. He was happy.
The change came quickly, they say, vaping THC oils that marijuana researchers say are many times stronger than the street corner weed of past generations.
Teenagers' brains are not fully developed. The average human brain isn't fully developed or mature till your mid to late 20s. And that is why we see teenagers who use marijuana go on to have higher incidences of mental health disorders. There's a higher likelihood that you could develop schizophrenia, bipolar, or other mood disorders.
Chris and Patricia say marijuana is to blame for their boy's psychosis.
To see him literally turn into a zombie, more or less, unable to look you in the eye, unable to speak clearly, no emotion, no light in his eyes, that really got our attention. More or less out in the street, naked sometimes, breaking windshields, just crazy stuff, having to call the police many times.
Dr. Ronit Lev is an emergency room physician at Scripps Mercy Hospital in San Diego, and she sees marijuana psychosis patients come to the ER daily. Teens and young adults whose parents just didn't know that marijuana in today's strengths should be considered hard drugs.
And that was the saddest thing. These are parents whose children became psychotic or died, cannabis-associated psychosis and suicide, and it's heart-wrenching because they had no idea and they wish someone told them.
Samuel was a sweet child. He was graduation from high school.
Adriana Ching's son, Samuel, is in the depth of psychosis today, hospitalized again over the holidays, lost to the days of the soccer-playing, self-taught pianist who brought her such joy.
I never thought marijuana was that lethal or that dangerous.
So you weren't afraid of it at the time?
I was not.
It was sort of the natural drug, right? I mean, how could it hurt us?
It was the soft drug.
Samuel's mom says his high school marijuana habit exploded during his first week of college when she got a call from the hospital. Samuel was admitted for psychosis.
Some medical studies link frequent marijuana use among young people to deficits in attention, memory, and IQ, even a greater risk of psychosis.
About cannabis and any medicine for that matter, there is what's known as a therapeutic window. So you have a window of the right dose for somebody, and it's often based on how powerful the medication is, the weight of the person, if they've ever had the substance before, if they have a tolerance to it, for example. That can be said of, OxyContin, a narcotic. It can be said of Neurontin. It can be said of cannabis.
I know I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off with this video, because most people don't want to believe that they're using something that's potentially harmful or addictive. Now, I've been an addict for years. Marijuana has helped me through that. I was an opiate addict, a cocaine addict. Marijuana has always been something that helped me get through that. So I look at what the government has done, say, with OxyContin. I was addicted to OxyContin in the early 2000s. The government actually put that out as being a safe, effective drug. I've used heroin, I've used OxyContin, I've used Suboxone, I've used methadone. And when I tell you, the man-made synthetic drugs are always the hardest to come off of. When I take edibles from a dispensary for a number of days in a row and I stop, I get severe headaches, I get nauseous. Marijuana is not supposed to do that to you. We are not meant to consume marijuana with THC levels this high. We don't even know the long-term effects. because this is so new and it's not regulated like it needs to be, because marijuana is still federally illegal. That being said, I know marijuana helps a lot of people. I know that people with cancer, it helps with appetite, it helps with pain. I'm not saying to stop using marijuana. I'm saying you need to go back to the organic, original marijuana that we had from the 90s. Ever since the government got involved, I feel like they're about profiting. They want to get people addicted. They want to get the strongest drug out there that makes the most money. Just like anything else, it's legal drug dealing, just like the methadone clinics. Now, I didn't want to make this video too long, so I advise everybody to do their own research. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you guys on the next one.